Look around you. Whether you're on the train, at a cafe, or just waiting in line at the grocery store, there's a moment most of us experience every single day, and we usually do it without even noticing. What we're witnessing across the globe right now isn't just some cultural habit. It's actually a fascinating and honestly almost eerie biological phenomenon playing out on a massive scale. As we guide you through this explainer, I want you to look at a very mundane, everyday action, but strictly through the lens of human biology.
A hand reaches for a phone. There's no clear intention behind it. No conscious decision at all. It's just a reflex. The screen illuminates, and in a fraction of a second, your mind is quietly, yet forcefully, pulled right out of the silence. Without your active consent, you're suddenly flooded with movement, color, sound, and information. The physical world around you literally fades away, instantly replaced by an endless digital stream.
And it happens again. And again. Eventually you pause. Look up, and you kind of feel this strange emptiness. A weird gap where your attention used to be. It's almost as if your mind was pulled somewhere it didn't fully choose to enter. Okay, let's dive into this, because it brings up an unsettling mystery staring right back at us from the black mirrors of our screens. Why is something so simple so incredibly difficult to stop? Well, the answer doesn't actually lie in our habits. It lies deep in our biology.
Part 1. The Anticipation Machine, the Ancient Wiring of the Human Mind.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that to truly understand it, we have to look beneath the behavior itself. As a neuroscientist, I can tell you right now that this is absolutely not a failure of willpower. It's a biological loop deeply embedded inside the human reward system, a system that, frankly, is currently being exploited. You know, we hear the word dopamine and we instantly think pleasure, but actually, scratch that, that's not accurate at all. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation. It's the expectation of a potential reward that drives us, rather than the actual fulfillment of it. It's the itch, not the scratch.
And right here is where we find the evolutionary mismatch. See, in our ancient environments, rewards were incredibly slow. The effort required was long. Survival demanded immense patience, whether that was tracking food or building a shelter. So your dopamine system evolved perfectly to keep you motivated through all that prolonged, difficult effort. But look at our modern environments. Rewards are immediate. The content is infinite. We've built a bottomless well of constantly available unpredictability. Our ancient survival wiring is, quite simply, completely incompatible with instant digital novelty.
Moving on to Part 2. Mining the Mind, How Digital Consumption Extracts Our Attention.
I want you to imagine a vast industrial operation. But in this case, the highly valuable resource is the human brain, and digital platforms are the massive extraction machines. This reveals the pure mechanics of a relentless extraction loop. First, you have the scroll. That's the drill, piercing straight into your consciousness. Then comes the uncertainty, the spark. Is this next video going to be funny? Is it going to be shocking? That unpredictability totally hacks your nervous system. Next is the novelty, which is the actual extraction of your attention. And finally, the continuation, the loop. Because your brain responds so powerfully to unpredictable rewards, it literally compels you to keep scrolling. Just one more. It relentlessly mines your cognitive resources until the vein is completely depleted.
And this brilliantly illustrates a really modern emotional paradox. Because of this extraction, we experience full stimulation yet entirely empty satisfaction. We have constant input but with severely reduced meaning. We're given endless content accompanied by rapidly fading attention. You see, in the short term, the human brain doesn't actually distinguish between incredibly useful survival information and a totally meaningless viral video. It just registers the engagement. And that leaves us wildly overstimulated but deeply, deeply unnourished.
Section 3. The Discomfort of Silence. How the brain reorganizes itself.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because this constant extraction doesn't just pass through us like water. No, it leaves a very heavy structural imprint on the mind. Observe how this happens over time. Within mere days, you start noticing this subtle avoidance of minor discomfort. You know, instinctively reaching for your phone the absolute second you have to wait in a line or sit at a red light. Over weeks, this subtle avoidance turns into a true biological dependency on constant stimulation. And over years, it results in a fundamental reorganization of your attention. Your focus becomes agonizingly short, your patience gets paper thin, the brain actively trains itself to expect lightning-fast rewards, which makes even a single moment of boredom feel physically intolerable.
And this creates a profound, silent mismatch. Think about it. The pace of real life takes time, effort, and absolute stillness to build real conversations, real relationships, and genuine progress. But the digital pace,
That is characterized by fast content, fast emotional shifts, and extremely fast engagement. This is exactly why so many people today feel constantly busy, yet completely unfulfilled. We are hyper-engaged, yet deeply unsatisfied, caught right in the friction between the frantic speed of our screens and the slow, beautiful reality of actual human existence.
So the crucial point is understanding this fundamental biological law of adaptation. What once felt exciting quickly becomes normal. Then what once felt normal becomes boring, and eventually what once felt boring becomes completely intolerable. Again, this isn't a failure on your part, it is literally by design. Your brain is just adapting to its environment. But the catch is, in a modern digital environment, there's absolutely no natural limit to stimulation. We just subconsciously demand more and more and more until attention itself just shatters. Which brings us to our final section, the fading internal world, the subtle loss of depth. Notice the silence right now. Notice how unusual it feels to just sit and listen without rapid visual cuts or sudden jarring noises. That slight discomfort you might be feeling? That is exactly what we are talking about. As the saying goes, much of modern life is not actually being experienced fully, but consumed in fragments. When our attention is fractured across thousands of tiny, meaningless micro-moments every single day, we lose the ability to stay with a single thought or feeling long enough for it to actually become meaningful. Without that ability to hold unbroken attention, even the most important, beautiful experiences in life begin to feel incredibly shallow. And that's not because life has somehow lost its meaning. It's because we've lost the capacity to dwell in it. Which leaves us with a final, deeply unsettling thought. If our attention is constantly being mined, if it's constantly pulled outward by algorithms that are literally engineered to exploit our ancient biology, what happens to the internal world that never gets enough time to form? Beneath every single scroll, every tap, every swipe, there's a human mind desperately trying to make sense of itself. But in that silent gap between constant stimulation and true reflection, something vital quietly disappears, the depth of the self. And once that depth is lost, who are we really when the screen finally goes dark?